Hello, welcome to Inspire and Illuminate's third video podcast. My name is Jennifer Engel, and today I'm going to be talking about the importance of becoming the gatekeeper of your own mind. Just a quick reminder, I feel like God, the collective consciousness, the divine, speaks to me in a variety of ways. For me, God really speaks to me in earth-based religion and messages. God also speaks to me in science and in pop culture. He also speaks to me with Eastern philosophy and yoga, and he also speaks to me with Christianity. So again, one of the things that I said last time is that sometimes when you hear things, maybe just pretend like you have a little translator app going on inside of your brain, and that might help you understand some of the concepts that I talk about. But at least knowing where I'm coming from will give you a good base of where I'm getting a lot of my knowledge from. So let me go on. I felt like I needed to clarify again something that I said in my last podcast. So I said that if you do not believe in God, the divine, a higher being, maybe start to look around you and see if God isn't trying to contact you in some way. Now, I have had somebody ask me, if I pray all the time, how come I don't see God? How come I only see negative things? So I did want to kind of clarify that a little bit, because you could be looking around and all you see is negativity. You see no positive. So here's what's going on in those situations. What's going on is we're human beings, and human beings have feelings, and human beings have hearts. And a lot of times what's happening when you're only seeing negativity around you is your heart has been broken somehow. So your heart actually remembers that and stores it in your subconscious. Remember, that's your memory keeper. And I argued that if you have positive thoughts coming in, you'll create positivity around you. And if you have negative thoughts coming in, you're going to see negative things around you. So someone that only sees negativity kind of keeps getting hurt by life somehow, in some way. And what we focus on becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So not only have they been hurt, but they also keep focusing on that hurt. And so that negativity and that pain keeps growing and growing. And they don't want to continue to be hurt. And so they put up these walls all around them. And there may be people around them that are trying to get in and trying to help, but they've put up these walls to help protect them. Even from God the divine, who wants to come in and wants to really heal that hurt and that pain. So what we have to do, and I'm going to kind of teach you through becoming the gatekeeper of your own mind, is reduce this pain as much as possible, refill it, reprogram it with positivity, and eventually what's going to happen as we start taking this negativity, we're going to start turning it into positivity, okay? And now only that positivity is going to be coming down into your conscious and into your actions. As you begin to erase some of these negative feelings and replace them with positive feelings, you're going to notice that the walls are going to come down. People are going to be able to reach you more. And as you begin to rewire your subconscious mind, those neural pathways, and this is just scientifically proven, begin to strengthen and begin to get stronger, and you'll start to experience a lot more peace and happiness. That's when you're probably going to see or hear God talk to you everywhere in a positive manner. So how do you get to this point? Well, you're going to have to start practicing positivity. And you're going to have to start becoming the gatekeeper of your own mind. What is that? Okay, so I don't know if you can see it, but behind here I kind of drew a picture of a brain. And what I want you to picture is I want you to picture your mind, and I want you to picture that you have a window or one of those doors that has a screen door to it. And what you're going to do is you're going to stand here, you're going to open that window, you're going to open that door, but you're still going to have a screen in place. The reason why I am using this image is because you need to have an open mind when you're starting to think positively. You cannot have a closed mind. But you still want a filter in place. It's a lot like keeping that window open. We're letting the fresh air in, but we're trying to keep the bugs and the icky things out. The same is going to be true with becoming a gatekeeper of your own mind. So what you're doing is you're standing at that window and you are watching what comes in. Eventually, you're also going to watch what comes out. But at this point, we're really focused on what you're going to allow through that window. We're going to let the fresh air, the fresh ideas, the positivity in, and we are going to block the negative ideas, the bad, icky stuff from coming in. So, how can you tell how much work you have to do and how long it will take? What you're going to do is you're going to look around you. And again, like I said, God speaks to me a lot through the medicine wheel, so you're going to see this symbol a lot. In your life, there are 4 areas. So first of all, you're going to look at your physical appearance. So start with yourself and look in the mirror. A lot of times this is something that as the older you get, the more we don't want to do this. But it can really give you a good idea on how you're doing spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. A lot of times people who break out or who have rashes, they're imbalanced some way. A lot of times people think that this is physical, and it could be nutritional, but it could also be spiritual or emotional as well. So a lot of the spiritual, emotional things that are going on inside are really going to reflect what your outward appearance looks like. Once you've looked at yourself, look around your surroundings. What does your physical home look like? What does your workspace look like? This was something that when I was going through a really tough time, my mom came and challenged me on this, and sometimes what my physical surroundings looked like, I had let it kind of not get to a good place. So later I'm going to talk about fake it till you'll make it. On the days when you actually have energy, keep yourself clean and healthy. What the doctors say is true. Exercise, eat healthy, clean your home at least once a week. There's going to be some days you don't feel like it and you're going to be too tired. That's okay. Give yourself a break. But there are going to be some days when you have a little bit more energy than others, so take advantage of those days. When you're done looking at your physical world, what's going on outside of you, then start to go inside to your internal world. So what are you like mentally? Before you begin to think positively, you have to be ready to learn new things, because obviously what you have been learning and what you have been focusing on is not working for you. In fact, when you look at your physical world, when you look at your mental status, when you look at your emotional status, when you look at your friendships, your relationships, the music you listen to, the movies you watch, challenge yourself. Ask yourself, is this helping me? Is this bringing me peace and calm and joy? Or is this hurting me? Is it bringing me anxiety, fear, and anger? If something is hurting you, you're going to put up that screen and you are going to cut it out from your life. Now, sometimes this could be just for a little while. Sometimes it might need to be forever. But just start with cutting it out of your life right then and there for a while, as much as you can. And you're going to replace it with something that helps you, that brings you peace and calm and joy. So sometimes emotionally, a lot of our emotions come from relationships. So look around at your relationships. How are they doing? Then you're also going to look spiritually. So whether you believe in God or not, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is if you believe, if you can actually change, if you can actually rewire your brain and start thinking differently. There have been studies, the placebo effect, where people were just given sugar pills and it cured their physical disease. The same is true with rewiring your brain. You have to believe it's going to work. If you don't believe that you can learn anything different, then it's not going to work. So once you analyze the 4 areas, your physical being, your physical surroundings, your mental ability to say, yes, I'm willing to learn new things or not, your emotional status, especially your relationships in your life, and your spirituality, your willingness to believe or not, then I'm going to say pick one, okay? And what I would say is, which one feels like it's causing the most stress in your life at this point in time? So you're going to pick one area and you're going to stay focused on that one area for a while. And then when you feel like you've reached a good place in that one area, then you are going to pick another thing to work on. Research shows that we are not as good at multitasking as we would like to believe. That's why I tell you, choose one area that you really want to laser focus in on for a while, of blocking out that negativity and rewiring it to be something positive. Now, in regard to relationships, I don't want to give the wrong idea. So, if you are in a relationship where you are emotionally abused, physically abused, then yes, you actually need to cut that relationship out of your life, possibly forever. If, on the other hand, you have good communication with somebody, you really do trust somebody, but you're going through what they call a bad season, if you will, then what you're going to do is you're going to keep that relationship, but you're going to rewire how your brain views that relationship. So every time you're frustrated with that best friend, with that husband, with that wife, with that child, every time you experience that relationship, you're going to remind yourself what you love about that person. So you're going to experience some anger, and like our last podcast, you're going to ask what that anger, what that upsetness is there to teach you. And then when you're done with that process, and you're not going to do this when you're with that person, then sit down and write a letter of everything you love and or appreciate about that person. And then share it with that person if you need or want to. So again, I didn't want to confuse people with this relationship part. If you're being emotionally abused, physically abused, you need to cut it out and you need to let it go. If you're just experiencing a bad season, but you still have good communication, you still trust each other, you still love each other, then you're just going to rewire your brain on how it views that relationship. Okay? So, how do you rewire your brain? Okay. Well, the mnemonics person in me came up with another one this week. We are going to SOS. We're going to send out an SOS to our brain. First, you're going to start small. Like I said, you're going to pick one area that you want to focus in on first. Then you're going to build up your endurance, build up your commitment, build up your time that you're willing to put in changing that one area. So if you're willing to put in 5 minutes a day, then put in that 5 minutes. Put it into your planner, schedule it. Then you're also going to gather others around you to help support you. Okay? Like I said, we have these 4 areas around us. So maybe you still have your doctor, or you have a trainer, or maybe you have a group, a physical activity group that you belong to, a bicycling club, a aerobics class. You gather your family and friends around you, and you tell them of your intention, what you want to change in your life, so that they can help support that. You also might want to have a psychologist or a counselor for further support, and you might want to have some spiritual support as well, either from a spiritual leader, a teacher, a life coach, or again, maybe there's a small group at your church or your other religious worship places that you want to be a part of. How much support you need, again, depends on the amount of negativity that you've built up in your subconscious and the amount of negativity that you have in all these different areas. So if you feel that there's only negativity in one area, okay, then maybe you just really want to focus in on just having extra support in that area. If you feel like all of these areas are way off, then you're going to want all of those supports in place, and it's going to probably take longer to go through this process. Then you're going to work on switching your pathways, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to fake it till you make it. So about 3 years ago, I was severely depressed. I was in a really bad place, and I just woke up one morning and I said, I do not want to feel like this anymore. I took pretty drastic steps. I think I cut out almost everything around me for at least a year. Any negative music, any negative media, any social media that was negative, I literally cut it all gone, and I replaced it with as much positivity as possible. I didn't listen to the radio, I didn't watch TV. I just worked on healing myself because all of these areas were out of balance. I started pulling in I started going to church. What I've started to do recently is to include yoga and exercise back into my life. I pulled in some family and friends for support. I didn't seek a counselor or a psychologist because I kind of had some negative experiences with them. But what I did do is I really honed in on these spiritual leaders and teachers. So I watched a video or a podcast about how to change myself spiritually every day for an hour, and I pulled in multiple sources. I pulled in Christianity, I pulled in psychology, I pulled in a lot of different areas to help with this process. So again, depending on how much negativity you've built up, how many things are out of balance, depends how long it's going to take to heal. So for me, I would say it probably took at least now remember, I was going through cancer and some other things like that, so I finally feel like I'm at this place where I have peace and calm, but it took me about 3 years. So be patient with yourself and keep going. So the definition of courage is not being afraid. It means you're still afraid and you still move forward. So just remember that. So how do you know if it is working? So I like this infinity symbol. You have positive on one side, you have negative emotions on the other. And what happens when you're going through turmoil or a time in your life, you'll experience extreme positives and extreme negatives. And you'll know that your internal work, your focusing is working because these extremes will become less and less and less. And you'll find yourself just at the center. So no matter what's going on around you, there could be lots of happiness going on around you. There could be lots of chaos going on around you, and you are still centered. You feel peace and joy. And you can be the real you. A lot of times we don't experience this peace and joy because we feel that there are parts of ourselves that we have to ignore or push aside. So with that, I hope that helped. Next week, I'm going to talk about how a balanced life does not necessarily need to mean a boring life, because that was something that I was experiencing. I'm like, okay, so now that I'm balanced, I'm not really feeling lots of highs or lows. And you have to remember, I was feeling lots of highs and lots of lows to different degrees. So then I began to work on, does that mean this is it? So that's what I will be answering and discussing next weekend. So this is Inspire and Illuminate. Believe, be life, be love.